I'm sorry.
Okay. This might be one of these, but with response to what are we figuring out on trying to set up, maybe we should just do, somebody was talking about just doing an outreach committee, and then just making one of those, and then they can discuss who's going to be the liaison, and then report back to General Assembly like this.
Okay, Heather, direct response?
Yeah, a direct response from what we were talking about with the Iowa City movement. If we have people going there, the easiest thing, and honestly it's the cheapest, you're already up there, just let them know, hey, Cedar Rapids has one, we've set our General Assembly to 6:30 every night. So if we have people that are going, you know, in between the two occupations, feel free to do that at any time.
Sure, flyers.
Okay. Nate had a direct response?
Yeah, well, it was to you about the outreach committee. I think that we should create an outreach committee. As many of us have people that we know, friends and family that live in other cities that are having the Occupy movement. I think that we should reach out to these people and share info and share techniques, you know, because it just keeps it so that we all know that we have people behind us. Like, not only do we have all of us here, but we have a whole global movement behind us. And I'd like to propose that we take volunteers for the outreach committee. Anybody?
Okay, we've had a motion to gather names for volunteers for the outreach committee. Have we decided if that will be one and the same as the proposed solidarity committee?
That sounds correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have names for the outreach committee? Anybody who's interested in doing that? Okay, we have Maya. Abby, are you recording? Maya, Matt, Nate, Kara. Do we have anybody over here? Okay. Direct responses?
Yeah, I got one. The outreach committee, between yourselves, just kind of establish who will be doing physical outreach and who will just be doing email outreach to the other occupied movements.
Okay, direct response,
Sherry, was this, I kind of lost it in the conversation, was this just reaching out to the other occupies, or was this reaching out to the community somewhere?
Direct response.
Or people in the community?
I believe it's going to be both.
Okay.
I believe that the outreach, and it has to be, the outreach committee needs to be outreaching to different organizations that may be willing to help support us, and also being able to reach out to different Occupy movements in the same boat. And I think that the people who just got selected to just not volunteer for that are great.
Direct response, Carol.
Then we should also deal with where the line is between the media committee and the outreach committee, and where they can also mesh, obviously, but also who's going to handle what.
Direct response from Maya, and then Nate.
Could we not use GA time and just let the committees decide that?
Nate?
I think that I think that within the committees there doesn't really need to be like such a line between like the media. I don't think that we're going to be stepping on each other's toes if we're helping each other out. So I don't think that we need to be separate. I think everything should be open and together.
How many trains do we get?
Nate, I have you
Come through and then back up to Attica, right? Forward, back up.
Yeah, I think so, unless we have...
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to create a wish list of things that we need.
Well, I think we have wish lists. We want to talk about that more?
Yeah. Personally, like, I would like to see a tent out here because I'm out here with my baby sometimes, and I don't have a tent, and I also want to occupy on some nights, on alternating nights, and I don't have a tent. So if there's anybody that has a tent that's not occupying, I would like to, be able to, also when I'm out here in the daytime with my baby, to be able to, change everything to make them take naps.
Basically just asking if anybody else has a tent.
Okay, we have Jim and then
Jason.
Would it be simpler for the wish list, just have like a sign-up sheet where you can see what's been suggested let's say that there's one tent, you put a tick mark next to it. How many tents do we need? You know, food, what types of food, whatever the case may be, so there's a centralized resource for that, so people aren't duplicating efforts. That could be at the information desk.
Okay, Jim, or Jason, I'm sorry, you had a...
I have some friends that didn't give up their tents to let me go occupy them, so...
Awesome.
Like for tents.
Now, their direct response to that, and if you can get a hold of some of those, can we set somebody up so that you can get their number and they can get a hold of the tents? Does anybody want to do that, Nate? Since we're looking for a tent? Yeah, and that way if he gets a hold of some crap, one for you and how many others ever else want to.
Direct response, I'm sorry. I think this kind of comes back to when we want to start occupying. Do we have any proposals as to when we'd like to see that begin? And if we do have a proposed date, find out who would be available to begin on that date. Okay, Chris?
I'm available to come for General Assembly and loud. And for any activist demonstrations going on throughout the week after 3:30. However, because of my employment, I'm not able to actually stay the night until this weekend. My plan and my intention is to be able to come Friday night and begin an occupation at that point. I understand the week is tough for people to be able to actually come do that, and that's totally understandable. However, I think the weekend would probably, leading into that, I think starting on Friday is probably going to be the best time to begin the actual occupation.
Okay, direct response from AJ.
Okay, I know the city has events here during the days, on the weekends, some Saturdays. So what would we do while they're having their events?
I had a direct response. Yep.
I had a direct response from Lonnie.
Go ahead.
My name's Lonnie. I was just wondering, is there a curfew in all city parks in Cedar Rapids at 10:30, 11?
I'll answer that one too.
Okay, direct response.
Yeah, I'll answer that one too. We've got a permit right now that allows us to stay in the park after 10 o'clock. At the point the permit is done, you technically can't be... Yeah, Mike, sorry. At the point the permit's done, you technically can't be in the park anymore after 10 o'clock. Now, the city sidewalks, we don't have to have a permit to occupy at all. So in the daytime, we can assemble here all we want without a special permit as long as we're underneath 50 people. Come nighttime or 10 o'clock, if we want to occupy without considering repercussions, what we need to do is set our tents so that our tents are, using a portion of the sidewalk. Legally, you can sleep on the sidewalk in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and you can occupy the sidewalk. At the same time, you cannot obstruct the flow of traffic on that sidewalk. So you're looking at something where you're probably going to put a tent door facing towards the inside of the park, but have about half your tent hanging off over onto the sidewalk, and that way they won't be able to, cause repercussions, because you've got essentially 8 foot from the curb, right? Easement, right? Otherwise, it's a permit. You got to get another permit.
Were there other direct responses? I had one. Chris? Okay, go ahead first.
Do you know anything about getting that permit renewed?
Yeah, we can file another permit. Now the thing is, the current permit, there's a lot of considerations, and I can show you what the application looks like and that I filled out. But there are questions on there, related to parking. I mean, you can get vehicles and have in a park based on a permit. You can have parking spaces that are outside of the area here reserved so that other people can't park them. You can have meters, have hoods put on them. You can technically, bring a kind of a fire source in here, whether it's, like a barbecue grill to cook with and those kind of things. The permit requires questions for size of tents, which, we're talking about normal 2- and 5-person kind of tents. We're not going to have a problem. Stakes in here, you cannot be taking a hammer and just start beating stakes in the ground. We can push the regular ones in, but if we damage the sprinkler system, they're going to want to sue somebody. Right? And so there's a sprinkler system running around the ground,
Okay, direct response. I personally, I'd like to see an occupation. However, if we're not going to be able to keep a permit on an ongoing basis, trying to move around for these city things, we're going to have to move based on what the city says they need, and that defies the idea of an occupation,
All right.
in my opinion. And so, if it can't be Green Square Park because we're working around the city in that regard, then we need to pick another space where we're not going to be displaced on a weekly basis.
Yes. I agree, and in response to that, the only really space in this town I know where you're not going to get displaced at the moment is down in the middle of nowhere, and there's nobody there to see us. And so you guys are going to have to kind of consider, if you want to renew a permit and create a fuller occupation, if you want to do it legitimately, then you're going to have to think a little bit about financing, because we're going to have insurance, we're going to have a porta potty, you know, some of those kind of things. Now, if you want to go outside of the permit and not do it without a permit, then like I say, your best bet, you know, I mean, we can occupy a park without a permit. They've got people doing it all over the country, you know. They're putting themselves at, you know, somewhat of a risk for doing so and not following proper procedure. But if you guys are willing to take that risk and take that chance or suffer the consequences that might come with that, then, you know, hey, power to the people. Do what you got to do.
Lonnie, you said AJ and then Jason? Okay. Sorry.
You know?
Lonnie, go ahead.
I vote that the majority of the money that's in the treasury, whatever we collect or you guys collect for this, would go to permits. That would be the most important thing to make sure at least it's somewhat legal.
The permit is free. It's it's insurance, porta potty. Like if I wanted to get a porta potty here from Friday to Sunday, that's $85. Now if we can find somebody who donates a porta potty and we'll set one on over here, then you know, then that's one issue taken care of. If we can find somebody, an insurance company, you know, to throw in the cost for that, but you know.
We got a direct response over here, like here.
The city is full of empty lots.
Mic check.
Yeah.
Mic check.
Empty lots.
The city is full of empty lots that flood is created. Some of them are downtown here. You just have to find one that the city owns and plop on it, and then you don't need a permit.
Yeah, it's not a park. I agree.
Direct response?
I agree.
How does the empty lot differentiated from a park? I mean, this is essentially a green empty lot.
It's not zoned as a park, so it doesn't have a 10 o'clock curfew.
Okay.
All right, and so.
Okay,
I just think insurance
Yeah.
and all that stuff is
Well, you still have some liability
my
for,
direct response
you know.
to the issue with the permits, all 4 permits for sleeping. That's fine. If it came down to no occupation for whatever reason and we were just meeting as general assemblies and protest groups, I don't know how, well, I know how I feel about securing permits for groups larger than 50. I think it's absurd and it's against what this movement's about.
And if we had that many people, we'd think about, you know, not necessarily acquiring a permit because we'd have more of a backing or support numbers to stand up against them.
Okay, I saw Nate had a direct response, Kara has a direct response, and then Jim, you have a new topic?
Related.
Okay.
Yeah, my direct response is the gentleman here. I'm sorry, what was your name?
Kevin.
Kevin, okay. I think the difference between occupying a park and occupying an empty lot is that I think that by occupying an empty lot, it would call attention to one of the main issues that our city is facing with the financing of, you know, how they're rebuilding the city. So I think that by doing that, we could really call attention to that major thing that's affecting our community.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
There are a lot of direct responses. Right.
Well, just right after. I mean, I was talking about liability. No, I'm with you 1,000% on that. I just figured if they have liability on us here, they'd have liability on us here, on there too. So.
Okay, direct response over here. No? Okay, Greg has direct response?
No, I have a direct response on that, and that's one thing that, you know, we can bring up. I've kind of looked at being, you know, beyond or past this occupation before we brought some of those kind of interests up. But there are a lot of things in this city that are problems, and we've spent the last 3 years holding different protests for different kind of things related to candidates, the local option sales tax, and Ellis Park, you know, numbers of things. And so that's one of the reasons, you know, that we got involved in this, because some people, when this is done over, there's things that we can continue to carry on that are local issues that need to be dealt with.
Is there a direct response? Okay, Chris, or Jason, or was it you? Do you have one? Okay.
Can we take a vote on putting forth our efforts toward occupying a lot as opposed to wasting effort considering different parts? Can we move forward from that then?
Everybody in favor of which?
A lot?
Mic check, mic check.
Okay.
Wait for the train.
Alright, we're going to take a vote after the train. Sorry.
I can microphone it.
You want
Like, yeah.
I propose that we vote. That we put forth our efforts to secure a lot. And ditch the efforts of trying to find a park.
Ditch the efforts of trying to find a park.
In favor of the lot. Alright.
That takes care of the permit problem. Find a lot next to a bathroom.
But since this park is very, very visible, it's in the middle of downtown, we maybe want to do an Occupy event where we figure out a day that isn't occupied by the city, so we don't have to worry about that, and we do Occupy here.
Yes.
That's cool.
No, I agree.
Direct response from Chris. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with what you said.
Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Okay, so, you guys have been paying attention to, and I'm sure you all have been paying close attention to what's going on in New York. Oftentimes they are having to move. And this is what happened over the weekend. They went to go occupy Times Square, and they were curtailed. A bunch of people were arrested, and they went back to Liberty Park. But they left people behind there to stay to hold that area until they were arrested. So one of the things we got to consider is if we take a lot, we get a big enough people, you know, we could take that lot and do that. If the city decides to get to the point where they want us to move, we keep people there to hold that as long as they can. We disperse the crowd, and then we come back to another area like this one, or another area like, you know, another park, another lot, because that means that it's impossible for them to stop us if we can flash mob like that.
Yep.
That's what they've been doing in New York. That's what we have the ability to do here.
Okay, direct response, Heather, and then this gentleman over here. I saw.
Yeah.
We have. Okay, Maya, and then.
As far as what she was saying about holding an event, honestly, I feel like that's something that the outreach committee could work together to try to set that up. To me, that falls along those lines.
Okay, gentleman over here. Can you introduce
there's
yourself?
a couple of different levels of things on this park here as opposed to a lot somewhere else. This is the center of town here. It has a lot of presence. This church over here could be a great support. It already has homeless food and so forth. And in the cold months, that could be a great source of relief right here. You got a library over here. You got media right over here. There's a whole lot of compelling reasons to hold this here.
Direct response. Was anybody before me? Direct response?
Chris or Jason, I'm sorry.
Okay. That's a great idea. I 100% support it. As far as the sleeping, we could occupy the lot for sleeping and make our presence here every day, like we are now with the GAs. Make sure we're out here protesting and demonstrating every day. Green Square Park was chosen over the tree because it is the heart of downtown. It is the most visible point, and it's obviously the most effective place we could be. So if we could put our efforts here during the day, go ahead and assemble here, protest here, do whatever from here as a base of operations, but occupying a lot, would anybody have a problem with that? Is there any blocks?
I have a direct response. If we're going to plan on having a daily presence here in the park, I don't understand what it serves our purpose to go sleep in an empty lot across on the other side of town.
Direct response, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Direct response, 10 o'clock is the purpose. Yeah, the purpose is that we'd have to have a permit to sleep in here legally, and so we're avoiding a situation by sleeping in an empty lot. We still may run into a situation, it just won't be the same one as here.
Not to say that there still can't be people here on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Okay. I think that the idea of occupying a lot for symbolic reasons regarding the flood makes a lot of sense. And being able to have our demonstrations here and having demonstrations there, it's not like we don't necessarily need to be tied down to one place. Is what I'm trying to get to. I understand the reason for it. I understand the importance of it, and we should not back down by occupying one area. But that doesn't necessarily mean that wherever we are holding a presence is the area that we are stuck to permanently, if that makes sense.
Okay, Nate, did you have a direct response?
Yeah, I like the idea of occupying a lot to the politicians, the mismanagement of flood funds.
Mic check.
I think that what we should do before we vote on this is we should actually find out the empty lots, find out what the best locations would be, and then put it to a vote. I like the idea of having the presence down here for people to just get into it, that that people can just walk up to it during the daytime. The lot is really symbolic. I like that. We definitely, before we put it to a vote, we have to have a specific location though.
Okay. I see AJ and then Heather and then...
I know a lot of these lots. I know a lot of this property that's been bought by the city through the flood money or with the flood money, and I can get a list of lots to bring to the General Assembly.
Okay, Heather.
With the idea of the lot, the main thing that I would like to see is something that's possibly visible from the interstate. That way, if, we have our signs there, people passing by, going to work, whatever, can see us. I think that would help with the statement we're trying to make, as well as drawing people in.
Okay, do you have a point of order? Is that what that is?
Technical point?
Technical point, okay.
Perhaps then what we should be doing is tabling the issue of where we are going to be until we have more further information. I think that's what we're trying to get. We should table this issue of where we need to be until we have more information in the next General Assembly.
Okay. Do we want to take a vote on tabling the issue of occupation until we have more information? Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. A response real quick, just because it was regarding my initial proposed vote. The vote was not to indefinitely decide on a lot. It was to abandon efforts of researching parks and permits and whatnot to researching finding a lot, which everybody here basically just agreed with. So that was the point of the vote. All right.
Okay, do we have direct response over here? Okay, you have your hand. What's your name, I'm sorry?